no, they didn't get to the finals. They would have had to beat the Bucks. Right. The Raptors would have. Okay. We're done about basketball.
Welcome to Naked Mothership. We're joined today by two sound artists, Paponpat Weerawit and Kerem Ergener. I'm Dhyan.
And our panelists today, Earl,
Michael, and Earl. And we are broadcasting live from Jam Cafe in Bangkok. Kerem is you were like a lecturer at university as well.
Yeah.
That's why you ended up in
Exactly.
Bangkok.
Yeah. Basically, I just moved from Istanbul to here for a job as a lecturer.
Oh, so you're based in Bangkok now?
Yeah. I'm at Teknorat Karabank and like teaching for like sound installation stuff, multimedia engineering
Oh, cool.
kind of things.
Is it like just about sound or like mixed media? Or?
Yeah, I mean that faculty is basically much more focused on engineering,
Uh-huh.
but I'm feeling the artistic part of it.
Mm.
It's like teaching like how to compose music for games or for films or.
Interesting. Theory, but specific. Okay.
Yeah, and also like multimedia installation, how to make them, like how to code that kind of stuff.
You're using like Unity? Or?
For games, yeah, Fmod and Unity, but for the other ones, like I'm teaching Max MSP and Super Collider kind of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Touch Designer maybe not.
No,
not visual.
Yeah.
We should do your blurb, your bio blurb. Introduce yourself. You're. I don't know. You're in town. You're a promoter. You're an organizer.
Oh yeah.
He goes around, he organizes a lot of the experimental shows all over Bangkok.
Yeah, by the name of Primitive Synthesis, and currently I just got like a new platform by the name of CMNN, aka Communion, as for like non-experimental stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
To that.
I saw you started doing some shows at Speaker Box as well.
Yeah. And I would do one on Wednesday.
Can you tell us everything you've got coming up here?
Okay.
All the events you've got coming up.
Okay. So
quick.
on Wednesday, Kerem and I are gonna do like a John Zorn tribute night at Speaker Box on
We're going to play the John Zorn piece Cobra.
It's a game piece.
Yeah, he has game pieces. Basically, you improvise with like playing games with the other.
Oh, so he's Let's Playing live too.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, and we have a conductor. Basically, he's not the conductor, but he's the caller, as the score says. So he just calls some things like play all together. Yeah, just play all together, or just stop, or you play or play as duo kind of things, and you just go back and forward like with experimentation and improvisation.
Oh, cool.
Basically.
So you like designate a caller.
Yeah.
At the begin, like beforehand. Or?
Yeah, we have a caller. A specific guy.
Yeah.
And he's going to play sax. I'm going to play drums. We have some other like. What else we have?
Mr. Don Pengbun, he will be on guitars, and you guys know Nachapon, right? Nachapon will be on bass, and he's octave track. And then from Jindajon on trumpet.
Nice.
Wow.
One
that's a
more.
full orchestra.
I guess one more. Oh, Ton Trakun, he will play pin and can.
4 members in a ska band. Speaker Box on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So like in that composition, is there what kind of structure is in the composition? Is there like a specific key you have to play?
It's
in,
more.
or-
It's more like
improvisation.
It's more like conditional.
Yeah.
So, but then like what determines the composition itself? Is
We-
there like specific?
We have like
gestures?
specific cards to determine how we play.
It just like play this.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
what? For example, a caller might hear something like really works together, and you can just say that, memorize this. Like there's a card for that, and you can call it back.
He
Or
uses cards.
or he can just say that, play something more comedical or something like that.
Gonna be with like tarot cards or something like that?
No, it's just like there's like colored
cards.
Big cards.
A4 size cards.
That's
that,
a
like,
okay.
say, like generally a letter or something that indicates.
Yeah.
Or there are some for ending, like you can say that
Yeah, actually,
abrupt hand or just end slowly.
Mm.
Or there's like cards like change the dynamics.
Mm.
Of, so if you're playing like really loud, you can just play really
fade
low.
in,
kind
fade
of.
out.
Yeah, but someone might be playing really pianissimo, and someone might be playing really fortissimo.
Loud.
And if you say change the volume, and
It's gonna
it will be like the
invert.
dynamic changer. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That sounds
Yeah,
cool.
I mean it can go to syncopations, and every time you play, it's different.
Mm.
So we'll probably make like 3 or 4 version of it.
Mm.
So we'll play like 10 minutes, then stop, another version, play
Yeah.
stuff kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
I find like when I go to see live performances, like most of the time it's kind of going to one extreme or the other, where
Yeah.
like for me, just for my feeling of my experience, I feel like there's either too much freedom or like too much experimentation or too much structure,
Yeah.
especially with like some bands that I like really respect, like last week, like 2 weeks ago, Maharasal Festival. I really wanted to see like Bad Bad Not Good,
Oh, man.
and they play like jazz, hip hop
Yeah.
style, and it was really good. It's like really enjoyable set, but it didn't seem like they have any room to
Experimentation.
play freely,
Yeah.
you know, and like
Oh,
solo.
I see.
And especially seeing a jazz band like play in such like tight structure,
Yeah,
is,
a big festival.
it's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, there's a bluegrass band that I like, the Devil Makes Three, where they put on a great live show. But then you go to the second live show, and it's the same as the first, or it's really similar to the first live show. So until like they write more songs, it's and you wouldn't expect that for the genre, especially bluegrass.
Yeah, usually, jam bands are pretty jammy, pretty free flowing.
Yeah, but like seeing that structure actually makes me off-put of the music, really, because I might choose to go home and listen the album or something. Rather
Yeah,
than,
yeah,
because it's the
exactly.
same thing.
Yeah,
And especially if it's just an only electrical based band, like just electric music. I mean, I expect them not to do the commercial one, so I don't expect them to play the album version of every song.
Of course. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, otherwise it will be just like press play and
I agree, but then when I saw Cornelius play here last year, this was the first time that like I really appreciated the structure, because they had such like beautiful visuals and like perfect sync with all the visuals. It was, like,
That's an interesting.
it was like really
point,
impressive to see the level of like sharpness of like timing that they had. But
it's all about the authenticity aspect of it. I mean, if you're not seeing the performer play like with like different instruments, it can be electrical instruments or it can be acoustic instruments, and like if you don't see anything creative happening or like a movement happening, you'll get frustrated basically. I mean that it can be like playing something and it can be synchronized, but if he just press the button and just leave it, I mean, it doesn't give that feeling. But if he's doing something and there's an acoustic aspect of it or like a musicianship aspect with the synchronization, it's really impressive.
And like manipulating things live more, and that remind me of Square Pusher. Do you know Square Pusher?
Oh.
I watched them like 5 years ago.
Yeah, same. I saw him first time I saw him in Tokyo at Sonar Tokyo. I think it was like maybe 8 years ago or something. And
I'm still not sure to this day that it was Skirpish or not. Because he was wearing masks. Yeah.
He could just be sending out clones. Like,
Yeah, of course,
anyway,
But
you
you
are
see
good enough. You are
of the
now
visuals,
the
like he was
Jet
using
Robert.
the Super Collider and he just showed the visuals live.
Oh really? I didn't see that.
Yeah.
The one I saw was more. It was just all black and white, stylized. But
Yeah, it was the same, but you just see the codes sometimes in like. I mean, it's not like algorithms, which I hate. Yeah.
I like
Maybe
it.
we-
I like algorithms.
No, because I don't want to see anyone to promote themselves as coach. I mean, I use
And
like
like
super
always?
colliders and
Ah.
tidal cycle, that kind of stuff
Ah.
extensively in my music.
Ah.
But I never show it because, I mean, at the end, the music matters, not the code. But when it comes to
Yeah,
algorithms, it's like,
yeah.
look how good of algorithm can I write.
For
I
me,
see that.
I like it because like I code in processing sometimes, like Java, and I realized that at some point that like what I was making could easily be seen as like pre-made, like something. If I'm doing live visuals, anybody could like see it and think like, oh, it's just something I made, and I'm
That
just
you just
like,
feel
mix-
like you're putting
VJ
another album on
VJing,
the, on the
right?
table.
VJ,
And so I start to think to myself like, okay, how can I make the visual so that people are aware that it's being generated live?
That it's creative.
And it's
that
very
is-
difficult
yeah.
to like make the audience aware of that. And but how obviously showing the code is a way to do that. It's like just for me, it's just a way to show like, look, this is the process.
But it is for us, for like people that do not know anything about it. It can be, I think, off-putting, or it starts to become more like, oh, look, I'm coding it. I mean, but for my music or
I
for
think
my
it's
creation,
quite
I don't want to
interesting
like.
watch myself. Like, I mean, I don't do coding, but I think it's kind of cool to see
Yeah.
that sort of.
It can be, but I don't like to promote it like that because it becomes a promotion tool rather than music. I mean, it becomes like coding music rather
It also
than your
becomes-
music.
Yeah, it also becomes like a nerd party. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
that
algorithms, like non-coders.
It can be
don't
obfuscating,
go
yeah,
to
yeah.
algorithms. It's
Yeah.
all coders that go to those shows. Like, it's
Crazy.
Yeah, actually, I have a plan to compose a song with Sonic Pi, but I don't think I consider myself a coder at all.
Yeah, I'm not as well. I just like learn a bit in processing. You said you use tidal cycles.
Yeah.
So you have to teach me a bit because
Of
like
course.
I tried using it a few times and I don't know. Was it Haskell?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know Haskell at all. So it's like still, even though I can make stuff in tidal cycles, like I'm still really confused by the structure because I don't know Haskell.
I mean, I'm still a big gear guy. I mean, I use it all. Like
I guess we should.
I had all
explain-
electron devices, all like Moog synthesizer, everything.
I guess we
But-
should explain a little bit like what these things are. Like
Yeah.
tidal cycles is it's actually a front end for another program called
Super
Super
Collider,
Collider. Super Collider has been around since like early '90s, I think.
Yeah, or the early 2000s.
And a lot of people still use it. They still like constantly updating the libraries, and it's just purely for sound synthesis. I don't think you can do visuals in Super Collider, but
no, but you can connect it to processing.
but you can connect them through other
Other,
stuff.
yeah,
through, like,
yeah.
so somebody made tidal cycles is like a kind of library extension. It's almost like a plugin that sits on top of Super Collider and makes it easier to use the synthesis that's inside Super Collider. So Super Collider is still generating the sound, and tidal cycles was like made to make it easier to do like quick changes and be able to like live code sounds.
Basically, it's a GUI, but it's not a GUI at the
Yeah,
same
it's
time.
like
I mean, it's an
just an
easified version
interface.
of coding,
Mhm.
basically.
It's like an interface, but it's still code. You're still typing code.
And it's designed to not use as many blocks, so nothing gets...
Yes.
Yeah. You can do stuff like in one screen, so you can see what's going on, and it's similar to
Sonic Pi.
What is it? Sonic Pi.
Oh, Sonic Pi.
Sonic Pi. Yeah, it's like similar. Using it is similar, but Sonic Pi I think has its own
Yeah, it's
sound.
it's on
I
previous
Yeah.
sounds
think
already.
they are both. I'm not sure of that, but I think they are both using Dirt.
Okay.
There's something
Yeah,
called
Dirt is the
Yeah.
synthesizer within Super
But
Collider.
Super Collider use Super Dirt, the Tidal Cycle use Super Dirt, and the Sonic Pi I think use another Dirt, classic Dirt, I think.
Okay, I see.
But I'm not sure because Raspberry is a single core chip, so it cannot handle Super Dirt really well. So they use classic Dirt, I think.
I see. So
I mean,
Sonic,
it's the case for Tidal Cycles, but I'm not sure the
so Sonic Pi. I mean, like when I used it a couple times on Mac, but you're saying like it was made to be used on Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, that's why it's
That's
Sonic
why it's
Pi,
called
right?
Sonic Pi. Yeah.
Oh yeah. but now I'm using on Windows.
I never use it. I just
But yeah, they're pretty interesting. I think Sonic Pi, if you're interested in like coding sound or like making music with code, Sonic Pi is kind of the easiest way to just like get into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of the simplest, and you don't have to. You can go like deep with it. You can like get pretty complex, but you don't have to. Like it's pretty easy
Sonic
to
straightforward,
just
yeah.
like get up and running and like make some sounds with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonic Pi is good. And if you want to go really, really deep, you go to Super Collider. Like Liu, what's her last name? Anyway,
Liu Niyomkan.
she uses Super Collider, and I didn't know about Super Collider until I saw her live performance, and I was like stunned by the sound that could come out of
and Super Collider
software.
sounds great actually if you're code writing. I mean, it sounds better than like playing through Ableton or something.
It sounds really good, yeah. And you can, I mean, the sky's the limit with Super Collider. You can really like dig into the audio processes and manipulate them.
And I think I heard
any way.
someone use Tidal. Like, do you know the Black Coats?
Black Coats?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He's a programmer, and he's quite, let's say he's quite experienced in codings. And he made last time I saw, he was like using, I think Tidal and Super Collider together, I guess, if I remember. And there was like few years ago, back in harmonica, Git just used like Chuck.
What is Shark?
Chuck.
Oh, Chuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chuck is the programming language, like an old programming language.
Oh yeah, okay, I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used it to perform live like once, when in a noise show at the harmonica.
Sounds hard.
And Chuck become really, I think nobody's used it anymore.
Yeah, anymore.
I remember like there were some projects made with Chuck, I think with like old game consoles, made with, I think, for playing golf through a video game console, and they turned it to synthesizer basically with Chuck.
With golf? Do you like play golf and it makes sound?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a joystick.
Okay.
That it can. One of the knobs came out as this like a rope. So yeah, it's for playing golf. I mean, it's for imitating, like simulating golf. But because it's like takes the velocity, the data, and the like position data, they just mapped it to the synthesizer, basically.
Nice.
I think it was made with Chuck, if I remember right.
Well, that's interesting. I've never seen a controller that uses a string like that, like where you
and because it was like all failed joystick kind of thing, it was really cheap.
Yeah.
Because nobody liked it. Like nobody used it.
Interesting. Yeah, controller interfaces are interesting too. Like, I think the first one that really caught my attention was I saw the like video of your doing Vespertine line.
Oh, the table thingy.
It's like a globe.
Yeah.
It's like a black globe. So the two guys that did the sound programming, like electronic programming for Bjork's album Vespertine, they have like their own project called Matmos, and I saw them, like, it's really interesting to watch them in that live setting, because they're doing like a lot of live sampling, like making sounds live and stuff, and I saw they had one controller that was it's just like a globe, like a half dome, this black, and they like moving their hands around it, and I don't quite understand like which, like, but it has all the data for like for like 3D depth, and like they controlling like multiple parameters.
It's got a display.
With it.
Did the globe has a display on it? In it or
didn't.
No?
I don't know.
They just that it's more like a.
It's like a theremin sort of.
Yeah.
But like a 3-dimensional theremin. Yeah. I don't even know.
I mean, that's what actually what was I'm trying to say with like not showing the code. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Because at the end, it's just a controller.
Mm.
They just mapped it really good.
Yeah.
So and it's all about that, and it makes the mystery, and you just figure it out, and it's immersive at the same time.
Mm.
So there is the authenticity factor inside.
Yeah, they just feel like wizards that they're over this.
I mean, if you
this
show the
dark
codes,
orb.
if you show the codes while they're playing, I think it will lose its illusion.
Yeah.
So
They're really interesting though. Like I didn't know about them until I saw them doing that live for Bjork. And so then I was like, who are these guys? And I looked them up, and turns out like they're a couple, and they used to work together in some kind of sound studio. I can't remember exactly, but basically their job were to edit out interviews. So they're using film. For tape rather, and their job is to like edit out all the unnecessary bits of interviews. So like when there's too much of a pause, or somebody clears their throat, like, or somebody's like
dead air. Yeah, trimming dead air.
So they cut it out and they retape the tape to like get it like shortened and cleaned up. And so the story goes that like one day they see like on the floor at the end of the day, they always have like all these cuttings everywhere. And so one day they just decide to start taping them together, and they taped it into like this really long.
That's
piece
neat
of
when
tape.
they actually did trim.
And they play it back, and it's just like
That's a good beat. That's a good bass.
It's just like that. Yeah, and if you put it into a tape loop, like it almost like rhythm like has structure, but once you loop a rhythm, it almost doesn't matter like how complicated or syncopated it is anymore. It becomes like rhythmic just by the nature of the loop. So yeah, once you make a tape loop out of like any random like hits like that, it can become like musical.
it becomes music concrete basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it turns like Michel Chion's modes of listening kind of thing. So yeah, it becomes reduced listening.
It's
so
exactly music concrete.
Yeah.
But if you put it into a loop, then it can become something more musical than music concrete. Music concrete, like generally, is just like carrying on with like.
But if you're putting on the loop, it's basically like reduced listening. So you just listen to the same things over and over, and it start to lose its meaning, and you just start to hear the timbral qualities of it.
True. Yeah. So I guess back to them. So I looked. So that's kind of how they started their project called Matmos. Was like based around that experience, and so like a lot of their early stuff is like highly like dense with field recordings and stuff. They still use a lot of field recording now, and then like manipulate it, and they had like one of their early albums, like can't remember the name of it, Lipo Studio. But they went into a liposuction studio where they suck out the fat of you, surgery, and they just did like they did all the recordings like inside the liposuction studio.
Imagine that you're getting like a procedure done, and there's like, do you mind if someone comes and does like a field recording of you getting your fat extracted from you?
I think at that point, like the less specific you are, the better. Like this is for research.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, who knows how they got access.
It's one step down of making soap, basically.
Yeah, so exactly.
But it's beautiful. The album is really good. Yeah. It's like really interesting, and obviously lots of interesting textures.
Keep your hands cleaner.
Squishy. But yeah, it's always interesting to see like the evolution of controllers and how they kind of like at periods, like kind of like people come out with these new ideas that are like really, really different than anything, but then people don't like to use them. Maybe it's not practical, or maybe it just like doesn't become trendy, and then we end up like kind of reverting back to old tradition of like keyboards, like we're constantly like advancing control, but then going back to
it's like a cycle
using like just like things that we're more familiar
cycle
with,
of nostalgia, but it's not quite nostalgia because it does have its own like traits that are unique to
it's about convenience.
I think it's convenience, simplicity, like.
Yeah, nostalgia can sometimes
Does
be
that globe?
more
Does that?
difficult.
It didn't have
for the
any
sake of
buttons on it.
This
It's
is
just like,
easier.
do they have to touch it, or is it like kind of go over their hand?
No, you could just hover your hand over it. I think you can touch it as well. There's no buttons.
Probably some
I
sensors.
should know the name, but I don't know. I don't remember the name of it. But there's lots of interesting. I think like one of the like most like high end controllers right now is called the. You know the red keyboard.
Oh yeah, with the black things with like
Yeah.
rug. Yeah.
It's
Haken?
I want to get the name first. It's
Bacon? What?
Is it Haken?
no,
Haken.
it's not
Oh,
Haken.
no.
Haken? No, that was like quantum shit.
Something with Q. Like,
The red one?
Yeah. So basically,
Like-
it looks like a keyboard. It's a long rectangle like a keyboard, and
Yeah.
it even has the like piano keys printed on it. But it's cloth. It's like a spandex, and it's spandex that is like stretched. You can't see the internals of it. Basically, all you see is just a flat sheet of spandex.
Are you talking about the rug one or the rolly?
Not the rolly.
Okay.
The it's cloth.
Okay,
yeah,
the cloth one. Okay.
the fabric
Yeah.
one.
I'm not sure.
It's not quantum. No, it's like continuum.
Continuum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
Haken.
one, yeah.
The
Yeah.
Haken.
So it's interesting because you can play it like a piano, but then because it's cloth, you can just slide across the
slide.
keys like really easily. You can just it's so sensitive to like how hard you push it, and it's springy like a trampoline.
I saw.
And so it has like parameters for like how deep you push it, how like quickly you hit it, and then you can just like slide everywhere. And there's even like I think there's even some zone at the top that's
for
like
just
not
continuous,
not part of the piano. Yeah, it's just it's just continuous. So it's really it looks like a really nice controller, but it's
Really
very
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah, very
Very,
expensive.
It's great for playing plug kind of sounds.
Yeah, plugins that are playing, especially like strings, where
Those plug-
a piano can't really mimic that movement between like sliding on a open.
Or you can map it like pulling the string kind of sound to upper end and just notes on the like keyboard keys or something. So you just play plugged one note and go between like
Yes.
moving off the bow basically.
Oh,
I think you can do that kind of stuff
bowing
as well.
yeah. And
Feels like playing an Ebo.
Emo, yeah.
mm.
An oboe? Sorry.
No,
Ebo.
it was the
is,
guitar.
Yeah, Ebo is basically just an electromagnet. That's all it is, really.
Yeah.
It's very simple. But and you just hold it over your guitar strings, and it moves the string for you. It resonates.
You slide.
Yeah, with the magnet.
Yeah.
My brother had one, like I think, many years ago.
I think it's really overused now.
It's old.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, you can get it's Evo. I'm sick of it. So
Tell us a bit about your record label.
yeah,
Was it La Horla?
the Horla Records. Yeah. We founded it in 2016 August. Basically, it was started as a project to make a release, like vinyl release, of an experimental hip hop duo called Roadside Picnic.
A Turkish duo?
Yeah, Turkish hip hop duo.
Roadside pick.
Yeah, Ağaç Kakan and Harmonicoma. Harmonicoma is the guy that do the electronic underground music, and Ağaç Kakan is the rapper. He's pretty well known. And when I listened to it, it was like, okay, we need to publish it. Actually, we were talking about another album that they made, but it was a remix album of an old Turkish musician, which might have some like what's the word? Like low kind of problems. Copyrights, yeah. Copyright problems. So we were thinking, how are we going to do that? And he just gave me, this is our new demo of our second album, and it was just fantastic. And I said, okay, let's press it. And we did, and afterwards it just evolved to more like pressing experimental stuff, then it's become a way of me to publish my own music as well, because we were organizing lots of concerts with a really famous noise musician called Batur Sönmez from Istanbul. Maybe you know him as the Noise Istanbul, because I mean he right now celebrating his 20th anniversary of when he just made the Noise Istanbul festival like a month ago, and like big names were playing, like SBK, that kind of.
It was the first one.
Yeah, it was the first one. And I thought we were playing with great names like Aaron Dillaway and like Ryosuke Kiesu, the drummer. And I thought, okay, that we should publish the live recordings as well. Unfortunately, the Aaron Dillaway recording is not going to publish because our sound engineer just fucked up the sound and just didn't record the one that we all played together.
Oh.
I'm really sad because it was really great. I mean, I was on bass, and he was doing some weird stuff with like contact mics, and Water was doing the same as well. So it was great, but unfortunately we were not able to publish it.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. So it became a platform for experimental sounds. I mean, if you cannot find the place to publish them, and if I like it, I'll put it on, basically. Yeah. So our goal was at the beginning to release like more avant-garde experimental stuff and like hip-hop stuff that are not finding itself in the like more mainstream way, because especially in Turkey, like hip-hop become actually not hip-hop but rap become really big like last year.
Same
So,
here.
Yeah,
Same
pop
here.
artists make like rap albums, or they just collabing with rap
Or
names.
the prime minister.
No.
They did in Taiwan. The prime minister made like a rap
Really?
song. Yeah.
In Ukraine.
And then there was kind of a Taiwan as well. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't expect from our government. I mean, they just, some people just make because it's now cool.
Yeah.
Like there is a classical movement, like, oh, let's make a 4-to-floor beat and rap on it. But there's also like really good experimental things coming through. Like the Rothstein picnic was not conventional at all. I mean, Ağaç Kakan has more commercial works by its own, but with the Honeycomb, it was like really experimental and really like sometimes really noisy, sometimes really melodic. I mean, they were all interconnected to each other, and the samples as well were like not were not used in a more conventional way. So
what was their name?
Roadside Picnic.
Roadside
But
Picnic.
the album was under RSPC.
Cool name.
Yeah, and the album's name was Le Cafard, which means like cockroach in French.
Cockroach.
And I don't remember which writer, but they used that name because a philosopher used Le Cafard as the word for like inner struggle or something. I don't remember which philosopher was it. And because the name was also French, my name was under like a story by Guy de Maupassant, basically French Edgar Allan Poe, and I was really drawn to that story, and I realized after I read it, I wasn't able to escape from it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, whenever I go somewhere, I somehow like face with that book. Like I met with my girlfriend, and she had that book because she also read it in the high school. I moved here and I went to a second-hand bookshop, and the book was there. I mean, and I bought it, of course. So it starts that's something I cannot escape.
Right.
Like in the story, because in the story the guy cannot escape from a creature that he doesn't know. So it also became my label name and my alter ego from one of my projects.
And so you're doing releases here yet?
Not yet, but I'm hoping to record the John Zorn concert. And actually I'm working on my second The Horla Record album right now. I just finished another one, but it will be out from another Turkish label. We're just discussing. I don't want to give the details because we're still talking about when or how.
Tell us a bit about your record collection, because you played here last week and you're playing some really crazy like Turkish rock and roll stuff that I've never heard before.
Yeah.
It was insane.
I mean, I spent lots of time and lots of money on it, basically. I mean, it started as like, oh, okay, records are cool, kind of collection. But after a certain point, it evolved to finding Turkish rare records because it became more rare than ever. And Turkish records has a really interesting history. At the 80s, there was a coup d'etat in Turkey, and like lots of records has been destroyed. Also, the music scene changed, and the material had basically changed. And after that, of course, like vinyl was dying anyways, and they turned to cassettes. But also there was like other factors. Like if a record wasn't like holding on, they were just recollect them, and they were melting the records and making new ones. Recycling.
So you mean the shop hadn't sold much of them, they would just like recycle them?
So there aren't many archives.
Yes. And even they were like just melting them without taking the stickers off.
Yeah.
So the plastic was like in bad condition.
So
the
like,
quality was
you're
bad.
recycling it, but it is not even like good vinyl.
They were just throwing it in the past or something.
Huh.
Like there's an artist called Mustafa Özkent, which became huge after Finders Keepers published his records. And you cannot find these records anywhere. And some people said, oh, it's because it's so rare. No, because it didn't sold any copies. Like maybe 3 copies, because it was like he was like covering old Turkish songs that nobody liked.
Before its time, and then the material
basically
degrades.
So they just
That's funny. The physical material degrades, but the content gets better.
Yes, which is weird. And also, like, I'm really keen on collecting records with the covers, because, and especially for 7-inches, because 7-inch records were for like minibus drivers, basically. So they were playing them on their cars, but they were just getting the records, taking the cover and just throwing away and putting the record.
Especially if it's your favorite album, it's going to be in the thing the whole time.
So the like finding a good great one was really difficult, and finding the cover was really difficult because they were just throwing them away or just writing notes on them.
So a lot of the minivans have got like turntables in them.
Yeah, they're like small ones, only can play 7 inches.
Yeah,
You know,
I've
all-
seen one of them.
Yeah, like old CD players basically.
Yeah, I mean, they're not top loading, right? You just slide them in.
Yeah, slide it in kind of devices, yeah. So, like, finding that kind of good ones become really difficult. So at the end, I returned to only collecting 7 inches rather than LPs. Because finding LPs was, I mean, still hard, but much easier. And
people will revere that. They'll take care of it a little bit more.
Yeah, and some of the artists were just releasing singles because they weren't commercial hits. So they weren't spending that much money on LPs, and the record labels weren't spending that much money. So like really good music were available on vinyl records basically, like 7-inch records. And some artists, like really famous artists, like Erkin Koray, basically his LPs was like a collection of his singles. So, and the single versions are much better than the album versions sometimes.
That the album just gets loaded with fluff that you make at the same time as the single that you love.
Yeah, because it's like record labels' way of making money,
right?
Basically. So that became a really passionate thing for me to find the rare and really good music on 7 inches, and it became really, really hard over time, and it's become really expensive over time because really so much foreigners were coming to Turkey to find those stuff. And
some rich collectors even send proxies. They people
exactly.
They have enough money. They just hire scouts to travel around the world and look for records for them.
And they were coming to us. Yeah. I mean, to me and my friends to find. Yeah, and they were just I want that. Money doesn't matter kind of guys. They just want the stuff. And there was lots of record labels were coming and trying to find the master tapes to re-release them. Like Finders Keepers were one of them, which they released really good archival material, which were lucky. And some were releasing unofficial ones, and some old Turkish records labels started to see that vinyl was coming back. I mean, it wasn't ever gone, but like,
what do you feel?
and so they released like reissues, but there was lots of problems with, like for example, Erkin Koray, like the big name. If you see a reissue, it might have some bad remaster or completely different track list than the original album.
Oh yeah,
Or
masters
some,
all the time because like they, a lot of times when they're engineering that, they feel like they have to make something a little bit new that they like.
But
you can't just like release the
it
same
can be
exact
just
thing.
it can be just like completely different
Right.
songs
Right.
in the album.
Yeah.
Or just a couple of songs are missing, or a couple of are
Bonus
edits,
tracks,
which destroy all the feeling of it. And
Flow.
it's something. Sometimes the master tapes were like a couple of master tapes, so different takes, and they were just releasing the bad version of the take, not the official one. So like for the Erkin Koray one of his I think it was the electronic Türküler, was he didn't like went to the guy and said that, oh, can we release it? So he really opened a lawsuit or things to recollect
Creative
it.
control.
Yeah, it was like creative control, and because they did a bad job and they didn't get his like approval. If he was like going there, oh, can we please? He would probably say yes. That's right.
And if it turns out bad, I was like, well, they tried.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't ask and then they made something bad, it's like, what the hell?
But the thing is, they didn't have to ask, I think, because like old smart records, they were getting, they just got the songs copyright to themselves, so none of the musicians got the rights anyways. So they didn't have to ask them. And so that was the case for lots of records in like Turkish music.
And then some like other record labels come along and buy the rights from them. And,
so there's lots of reissues now.
Yeah.
Like they even start reissuing 7 inches, which is like really never heard of. Really. So and I think it's going to get more and more because people are dying, copyrights are expiring, so it becomes easier, and they see that, oh, that guy's music went really popular after 40 years, so I'll just let him. There was like that kind of guys as well. But the problem is the finding the records. I mean, even I went to Turkey, I know lots of record shops and like sellers. Even I cannot find really good records anymore because they're all now gone.
You know, I used to be on a private torrent tracker, which like it's like a torrent tracker like Pirate Bay or something like that, but it's private, which means you have to have a membership. But
It's just a login to a database.
Just a login, yeah. You don't have to pay for the membership, but this one specifically was called what.cd.
Okay.
This one specifically, the only way you could get login was two ways. Either another member gave you an invite, and you get invites by, like uploading a lot of music or something like that. You can
You have the number of
you can
invites.
earn invites that you can give to anybody. Or the only other way was to pass an interview, like through a chat room. And basically what they did is they give you a few web pages of information about like music recording and encoding, digital encoding, and they say like this is what you need to know to pass the interview. So it's not tricky at all. They're just trying to educate people. So they're like they want people to understand like the process of digital recording and how to identify files that have been like clipped, like hard clipped, or have been like re-rendered into
compressed.
Yeah, files that have been compressed and then re-rendered into an uncompressed format. If you look at the waveform, you can see that it's already been compressed, and there's a lot of like headroom that's like missing. So basically, it's just a way of like educating their users to hopefully keep a standard of quality within the community. And
it's not quite over the board, so
and then once
sound swiping secret society.
And so like once you get in, you first have I think like 10 gigabytes of free download. You can download 10 gigabytes, and then after you hit that mark, you have to retain a 1-to-1 ratio of upload to download.
Oh.
So you have to upload stuff if you want to download more, which is also great because it keeps like the community alive and like keeps like stuff online. And so I mean like what I did was just like pay $10 a month for a server, so that when I download something, I download it to the server, and then it's constantly trying to upload, and then I get more upload, I can download more. But the point was that this private torrent tracker was like the biggest archive of music that's ever existed. It was like insane, like the stuff you could find on there. I remember like the minimum, I think the minimum upload requirement was like 192, maybe 192 kilohertz like sample rate. So like relatively okay, not great, but it's like minimum. And then of course there's like FLAC albums, like wave, like higher, like uncompressed audio. And I remember like when they hit the landmark of having 1 million albums in FLAC. So like beyond FLAC, like in MP3, there's probably like a couple million in MP3, but there's 1 million albums in FLAC, and it was just amazing for archiving music, you know, like because everything was on there, even versions of albums like well-known albums. You would go into it, and it would be like you'd have like 10 different releases, like 10 different remasters.
American release, Japanese release.
Japanese, American, like 1997, 1990, like 9, like all these. And so you're like, at that point, you maybe you don't know, maybe you just like download the one other people download. But that's also interesting because like remasters, like, I don't know, purists might say, oh, you should just listen to the original. But sometimes when like you get the right person, like remastering your album, it's just like it can just bring the whole thing like out and alive again.
It's about having the original record tape master.
Yeah.
If you have that, and if you're
and if you have a good engineer,
like you can do like AA stuff, so all analog stuff. Yeah, sure.
But it's gone. It's gone, of course. Inevitably.
Luckily, SoulSeek still lives.
SoulSeek is still alive.
Yeah, I mean there's this same thing actually. I mean it's not official, but if you're downloading something and you do not have anything on your upload folder, they will might say that, oh, you cannot download this. Just put something to upload for it, and I'll let you download. I mean it's unspoken rules.
Yeah,
which is more impressive for me than like strict ones.
Than laws. I don't know. I liked it because on What City, like, no matter what you wanted to download, there was somebody trying to upload it.
Yeah.
Every album you could download it. There was never like you get half the album downloaded and then it just like dies out. Everybody wanted to upload, or everybody wanted to get more, you know.
So
credit,
it's not like
credit,
you can.
Basically.
It's not like you can water down the beer or put sand in the flour, like.
You kind of can, in a way. One thing you could do, which I never did, but I realized early on, is that if you found an album that was uploaded in FLAC, like uncompressed audio, and there were no uploads of the same album in lower, like more compressed versions, like MP3, you could download it and then convert it to a compressed format and re-upload it. And when you, generally, when you would upload... so anybody that just wanted the MP3 would download it from you first, so you would get more upload. And the other thing you could do was, like, I did this a bit, it's really cheating, but you could comb Bandcamp for free albums that are not on the torrent site and just download it.
Well, I think that's fair. I mean, that's the point of an archive site. Like, if it's like you never know when Bandcamp's going to close. There was a site that I really liked called the 66. It was a number that I always forget. But like it closed abruptly, and I lost like just
you can't get
all my collections.
I think stuff
not
on
all, but,
MySpace is no longer there.
Right.
No, it's not.
Yeah, no MySpace. Bandcamp.
Probably gonna have to do the same with SoundCloud or Mixcloud.
But that's how I felt like when What CD closed. I was like devastated. I was like, oh my god, all this. It's such a. All that music is still there,
right?
Because it's just on people's computers, but
there's
always like this beautiful network of like
The same thing happening. That I'm really sad. Yahoo groups are closing now, which we have like big archive for like from 2 of my groups.
Shit.
Like we find a way to download them, but still, I mean, it was the communication tool. Even just someone sends I think once a week, still it's valuable. And that kind of communication, easy communication, just went, and we need to find other source.
It's strange how much, like, so much of our, like, culture or just memories are no longer really owned by us anymore.
Yeah.
It's like a third party or corporation that can just decide what to do with it.
And that's especially in the U.S. too. Like I'm glad to hear that, like in Turkey, that things lapse into public domain sooner, so that you can re-release them on 7-inch again. That in America it'll take forever, for as long as Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
What is it, like 40 years?
Oh, no, way longer in America. Way longer.
Really?
I think it's 80 years.
Yeah.
80 years in States, 60 years in Canada, I think.
80 years?
But
wow.
there is some periods, like from 1930 to 1950 or something, unlimited.
Unlimited copyright?
Yeah, because that's the period that Mickey Mouse was invented.
Wow.
Disney's going to lobby just to keep the Steamboat Willie. That's the marker. That's the date.
Wow.
So like otherwise they lose the copyright. They lose Mickey Mouse. They lose
and actually Steamboat Willie is copyright infringement.
I'm like, what did they get? Oh, that's why their characters all stay the same.
Yeah,
because they're like, okay, we got like 10 characters that forever. We're just gonna keep using those because we got the copyright forever.
And also they just remake some things for just extend the copyright.
Right.
That's why there's so much remakes.
Aladdin, Lion King.
Yeah.
So they remake it to extend it. Yeah, that makes sense.
Just copyright and just make
they're
money.
Not even sequels. They're just complete remakes.
Just remakes. Well, I mean, also to just get the new generation on board, whatever.
They're making the remake of Home Alone, which is like
I hope Cody Culkin's in it.
as the bad guy.
Well, yeah, he should be the bad guy.
That'd be good. That's actually a decent.
I would watch that for sure.
That's decent.
He's like, I know how you think, motherfucker. I've done this myself.
Actually, his brother became amazing. His brother was actually in Home Alone, the one that's eating the pizza.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a.
It's his real brother.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kieran
Culkin. Yeah.
And there's a TV show called Succession, which I'm obsessed, and he's great in it.
What is it?
It's like a fucked up family drama, but with like really rich media corporate family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually about miscommunications and how a family can be that fucked up. But it's like, I think, 2090s Sopranos. I mean, that's kind of... I mean, if I'm putting my all-time...
Story quality?
Yeah.
Wow, that's high level.
It is.
Most people, like, put Sopranos up on, like, the...
Yeah, it's my one.
Number
so,
one.
Yeah.
It's the gold medalist.
I mean, I was truly shocked. And the, camera angles and the dialogues and the music is just top-notch. I mean, highly, highly recommend it.
Succession,
yeah.
It seems like music in film is getting better, I think, from my perception. I guess there's always been, like, gems along the way.
Of course.
But I think in general, seems like it's getting better. I guess more people are doing it.
And there's more money into it. That
Yeah.
if you can invest more. I mean, that's kind of the nice thing about the internet and like Netflix and like even though like all the old fashioned media conglomerates are racing to make their own platform for all their old stuff, for all their archives. That also just means, well, we're getting more money in off of these subscriptions. And I mean, like that's kind of the opposite point of that's. I mean, like whereas piracy means like a lot of these things that are archived that like the company just doesn't care for, like that they know who's ever gonna watch that, but that there's actually a fan base for it. So, but they never put it online, that they never maintain it. Like a lot of that will fall through the cracks, but like that recapitalization means that, I mean, new stuff does get made. But I mean, like, you don't need money to make good stuff. I mean, like a lot of the Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
The Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
That's
yeah.
from.
But yeah.
I thought about Rodriguez, the
Right.
guitar player.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Common name.
Yeah.
What do you think about I saw like the two guys that did the music for Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's to Survive.
They did a tour.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
performing the music from Stranger Things.
That was I was going
really
to say.
like, oh, what is this? I've never seen that before.
I think it's become like also a money-making tool.
Yeah.
That's why I think you're just feeling that it got better because you're more seeing that. So the people are getting more famous musicians or like more commercially viable musicians to make the soundtracks to able to sell them or create a fan base out of it. So like everybody like live synthesizers know Survive because they have like a huge synth collection. So they're like people love Stranger Things, that's why they're listening it. And there's like music guys that love synthesizers, so they listen to Survive.
Oh, I didn't know them. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know them before. I didn't know that they were that big. They were like that well known before.
No, they are.
Okay, that makes more sense.
They are like.
In my mind, I thought like they were like maybe like they got their name from doing the music of Stranger Things.
I mean, they become famous like that, but they are like new generation of the John Carpenter kind of music making, basically.
Interesting.
Scoring.
Okay.
But yeah, also interesting that you can tour with something like a soundtrack. Also, just playing.
I mean, they have their own music as well, so they're probably. But they're probably playing the Stranger Things theme and their live show as well. They must be.
Of course, yeah.
That's the crowd pleaser.
They're gonna cause a riot if they don't.
And it's good that the publishers are renewing their like an ear towards scoring because for a while like a lot of film studios would just put in filler scoring from like another movie like if you can that a lot of these scores sound similar because while they were filming it that they were using someone else's score. And I was like, okay, well, just make a score that sounds like the score we already used but don't have the rights for.
There's exactly a name for it. I don't remember the name, but yeah, just say that. Make me this.
Yeah.
Kind of score making, which is really popular in Hollywood, especially in westerns kind of.
I mean, it's
movies.
expensive, so anywhere you can cut corners.
Yeah. And if you're just making a movie in another country, you can just reuse it.
Yeah.
Like it was the thing for the old Turkish movies. They were just rehashing. Like John Carpenter.
If you're going to sell something in a different country, nobody's going to know that it's from.
I
from this
don't
thing.
remember which one. I think is the. I don't remember which one, but one of the John Carpenter's track became like the pervert trying to get the girl soundtrack in Turkey. If you play that, it's just one actor's name and just perversion. But if you play in States, it's the I think what's the movie's name? The China one. Big Trouble in Little
China.
I think that one. it's become like the perversion soundtrack.
The stalker.
The stalker, yeah,
soundtrack.
yeah.
Nice.
I mean, they just rehashed that stuff. I mean, and if you don't know the John Carpenter movies, you wouldn't even recognize. I mean, but if you play that in Turkey, like to anyone, it will say that okay.
I just picture like this like shady guy with pointy shoes, and he's got that as his ringtone.
I mean, also it's like if you play that, people go to the soda, like like to drinking soda.
They get thirsty.
No, because the perverse guy was putting drugs into soda and
give it like a drink instead of a drink that they'll just order a new drink like.
So it's
implied that you're
you get protective
now.
Of your drink. You're like,
yeah.
Oh shit.
So that music and roofie goes by vibing hands.
This is the roofie music.
Yeah, it's the roofie music basically.
Sort of like the sax solo in "Careless Whisper." That it's like. You're gonna go through the door here, and they're gonna be screwing. Like that's it's implied.
No, someone fucking here. Yeah. Am I about to encounter a blowjob in the making?
No, but it's got to be more romantic. That it's like.
Right. Well,
it's the foreplay. They'll show the foreplay. It's associated with the foreplay. It's not associated with the act.
It's like universal Sade meaning kind of thing. If there's Sade, you know what's going on.
What's Sade?
The musician.
Oh, Sade.
Yeah. It just makes sense. Or Kennedy. Or Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Kennedy, the alto saxophone player. Yeah.
Talking about archiving, let's say I have a plan to start like doing an artist archive for like experimental art Thailand, in like all-time artists.
I don't think you have that kind of mentality in Thailand.
Yeah.
So I was going for record shopping and I found really good 7-inch records. And because I cannot read Thai, I gave them to my assistant, and he just translated them for me and find some of them online.
Where did you go?
To I cannot say the name. This is next to Studio Lamp.
Yeah.
So Bangkok.
Yeah. And it's a great store. And he just told me that. My parents said they were like old Thai movie soundtracks. So you have that kind of mentality, as I understand from the records, from my research. But if I look for them online, because I don't know how to write Thai, I probably cannot find them.
That's probably the tick that they're not. They're not necessarily translated into English. You can search for them on the internet in Thai.
Yeah. And you can find them on Discogs or something, but because nobody can write it, so it just become obscure. So I think that's kind of archival.
Into a Roman alphabet.
Roman alphabet.
What's your plan for the archive, kid?
I'll start with the artist first. Like right now, let's say I'm finding more. Now last night I just posted about asking you guys about like finding some female noise artists here.
Oh yeah, I saw your post.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like besides Liu.
Yeah, I don't know of any.
Yeah.
Noise artists, female based.
Yeah, but you're talking about like modern archival material, so like new artists kind of archival material, not the old ones.
Some and some old ones too, but possibly I can't find any like old ones right now.
And it would be like a physical archive, or like something like online.
Yeah, online. It's more like online.
You might have to go up country to like actually like root out for the records.
Old stuff, yeah. But I think maybe you focused on like experimental artists here.
Yeah, experimental.
Check in Udon. That the old GI bases on the Lao border and I guess you could check along the Cambodian border too. But I mean, they'd have records like that, like when they were in the 70s and 80s. they'd have record players, and they'd probably sold them when they went back home. Like, there's only so much you can carry in your bag, and it's like, well, this is nice, but it's like,
archiving is a weird thing where like it's something like I always wish I have, but at the same time, like you could just start like archiving everything.
Yeah. Then it can be cluttering, and you become a hoarder.
It becomes like.
Well, I mean, that's nice about
with,
digital
content
formats.
That was one of my problems in my collection. That was one of the reasons that I only started to collect 45, 7 inches. Because it was taking too much space. And it was like unbearable at some point.
Limitations.
Like,
but you can stock 7 inches more easily than LPs. Basically.
Yeah, but I mean, even in like digital format, I mean, like quantity becomes like how do you? At some point, you're like, how do you sift through it? Like, it's cool that it's there, that somebody can just like randomly dive in and like look for stuff themselves, like if they feel like it. But then like for maybe the average person, like how do you navigate like mass amounts of like quantity of archives, like,
especially if you're not labeling them right, it's impossible. I mean, if you're labeling them, that might be more manageable, but still, if you do not know your material that you're searching, it's impossible.
I guess that's what album art is supposed to convey, like even if without like labels or words, that if you're just riffling through that, like hopefully the art.
I like come across some weird archives on the internet. One that was like really interesting was just like really old interviews with people, and like seemingly about like I think it was like geologically structured. They're like these were people that were interviewed like in Mississippi during like this decade, but the topics were like just anything. It was almost like maybe sociological archiving in a way that they're just like interviewing random people about their own life, no topic at all, and really interesting to listen to, but same like impossible to like. The only way you could sort through it was just open one and listen to it. But I really enjoyed. I listened for like about a week. I listened to them every day, and like. You just listen to like old people talking about their life, you know, and it's like really interesting.
I had a similar one, like from I don't remember that, but I think from 89 to 96, all the cassettes given to Kmart. Kmart.
Yeah, from Kmart.
Yeah, like because they were playing cassettes to entire store, so they were just getting a cassette to loop around every month. So they were just playing on a loop. So they were like big cassettes for like takes 24 hours or 12 hours.
What is that called? BDM or it's like there's a name for that
format.
That format. Yeah.
I
remember.
And they were really interesting because there were some commercials inside, but they are so out of dated. But they're so important archival because you can see that what was popular that month and how much was it and how it changed. Because sometimes you see that they just saying that this is the new thing, buy it, but after 2 months it say that it's on sale because it didn't sold. I mean that's really interesting, and this music sometimes and music change over time. Yeah,
commodities rise and fall just through just through these tapes.
Yeah, and the music is like almost muzak quality.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like I mean, at least for a long period, it was like really watered down, like soft, like easy listening, music, like background. They like wanted to keep the music in the background, and now it seemed like. Now there's like a bit more of a trend, like especially in like fashion stores, you like
to make it poppy,
like techno music with like some like drive to it, and I don't know exactly what they're trying to do psychologically.
Give you a bounce,
maybe like give you some energy.
It is some sort of.
I'm not actually sure.
I'm
sure they've studied it all.
There's a purpose to it. Like if there's money involved, you can be sure that they're.
There was a Turkish comedian was making joke on that. Like he was saying, there was a techno playing that I'm trying my underwear, and it was so much. So the cashier comes, is it okay? And he said something, and she doesn't understand. So she's like, "Fuck it, let's have a drink."
Yeah. I was gonna
a party,
maybe like it's a cheap way. If you can't afford to go to the club, you just
go to the
you just go to the changing room and in the fashion store. You have your own party.
For private club for like 6 kilometers.
I wonder how long you could have a party there before they kick you out. You just start bringing in bottles and
changing booth.
mixers. They're like, what are you doing?
It's I think directly correlated with the pop sound of the champagne. Like too much pop sounds, they will kick you out.
I could totally see a store like staging that as well, just to like draw people in.
Yeah.
Like having a fake club like in their store, so people are like, what the fuck is going on in there? And people like are just drawn to like attracted to it.
Yeah.
I wonder how many places would have like an easy sort of which countries would have a loose liquor license, so that you could sell clothes and
That's a good point.
booze. Like I wonder, like how many places are
Probably Thailand.
zoned. Yeah.
Probably this is a good place to
Allow.
test
There's
the
sort of
waters.
like a Venn diagram of places where you can do it, and then like build the store and like get the licenses. But then like the other, like, what are you gonna sell? Like is the clothes gonna sell? I mean, sure the beer might, sure the booze might sell, but will the clothes sell too?
I think it's not about getting a license. It's about the control of the place. So there is no control. You can just do anything, basically. I mean, the license probably will be more strict.
Just heist
but
it. Yeah.
How the license are like controlled? It's the thing. I mean, if a policeman came to the store every week,
It'd just
or
make it a speakeasy.
If nobody is controlling it, you can do everything. Basically,
It's weird. You think like they would have regulations about like selling non-alcoholic things in bars, because maybe people are just more likely to buy stuff when they're drunk.
I
don't know. Or maybe I don't know.
no, that's definitely the
I don't
case.
think consumer protections are anywhere involved in that.
Not at all. But I'm just wondering, like, if I was in a club, would I buy some pants? I'm not sure.
I mean, I know the concerts that I went and see the merch table. I said, no, I won't buy a T-shirt, but after 2 beers, I bought the T-shirt.
That's true.
Yeah.
Good point.
I definitely felt that at festivals, that's for sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it helps. I mean, like, if you're forgetting that band you like, right, I got their shirt.
I think you like. I think you like already wanted the shirt from the beginning, but you just start like caring less about your money.
The push.
You're like, it's only like in the beginning you're like, oh, can I afford it? And then after a few drinks you're like, fuck it, that's a good shirt, I want it.
Why are you doing this archive kit?
Let's say I wanna keep the database alive somewhere.
Yeah, I guess like so much can like disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because most artists here are like sometimes they split up and they're gone forever.
And also they can be humble that they just might not think like their stuff is good enough to...
a lot of artists
to do it on their
don't
own.
record as well.
Yeah.
That's the importance of like live recording. Is some artists just don't even take the time to record their own stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that's why you need labels.
To help them.
Yeah,
To help them like produce.
like in non-commercial, non-profit wise labels to collect that kind of archival materials. Rather than putting on a site, you can just create like a more official label kind of values given to that kind of artists. So if you return their work as not the archival material but as a release, they will feel more appreciated, and the records will be more sought after because it was released by an entity basically,
Right.
rather than it was put on archive.
There's like a quality control about it. Yeah. I mean, Bandcamp was has been like an amazing platform for artists to be able to at least have even labels, you know.
Yeah,
like,
I put my label stuff on Bandcamp.
And what do they take like percentage wise?
I mean, you can just do it for free.
But
if you want to do like a pro version, you just pay yearly. I don't remember how
I
much.
pay yearly, and then
I think $100 or
They don't take a cut.
They don't
That's
take
nice.
percentage.
Okay,
Yeah,
then it's
yeah.
just the
Oh yeah,
subscription.
if you don't pay it, they take a cut
Right,
out
Ah, I
of
see.
the
Okay,
sale.
okay.
Uh-huh.
But if you're putting it free, that's fine.
Uh-huh.
But there's like some limitations. I mean, if
Yeah,
you're
if you-
taking money, but if you want to give free copy like coupons,
Uh-huh.
there's like 200 limit or
there's a
something.
limit,
Right.
yeah, because they cost them money for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
server bandwidth and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
But
yeah, that
y-
seems like pretty fair. The way
And
they
if your
do it.
label like $100 per year or something, or maybe it's 50. I don't know.
Cheap.
It's not expensive.
Yeah,
It's
cheap.
it's not that much.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're selling stuff, you can just probably make it.
And,
over
and
2 days.
I've also seen.
What would involve like
I've also
massive
seen like
Yeah, of
scale
course.
before.
let's just say non-musicians. I've also seen like Foley sounds
Yeah.
for film for sale on Bandcamp as well, which is like nice because it's like the platform is extended that you can sell.
It
any-
becomes a sample
you can
library.
send-
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I
I
also
do
have
remember
seen.
getting a couple of those. Like, you guys gonna use those?
What's his name? I see
Send me the
an
facts.
artist. He's also a sound artist, but he makes like Max for Live plugins,
Okay.
and he sells them trickily through Bandcamp just by changing the file extension on the Max for Live patch.
Okay.
You just change the dot
Max, yeah,
to dot MP3, and now he can sell it on Bandcamp, and he tells you like, oh, when you buy this, just change the extension to Max extension.
And actually, you can put bonus files
Nice.
for people to buy it.
Nice.
So you can just put a like an empty file, empty document, and put a folder with it. Like if you download it, the folder comes with it.
Oh,
So you can just put your like band photos or video,
right.
and
Like
it's
album
free.
artwork.
Yeah, it's free. It's probably that because you have to download these web files and they convert it to MP3 or something. So I think it wouldn't be viable to do like that, but he probably puts the extra as an extra material.
No, I think I did. I downloaded
That's an
one of
interesting
them.
Really?
idea,
It was-
uploading.
I don't know how it's
file,
work, but
you
yeah.
just have to.
Because
I'll
I
send
think
it to
they're
you. I'll find it
compressing.
and
change
send
the-
it to you. He makes really good
the
plugins
suffix.
as well, actually. Really,
It's a viable thing.
interesting
Yeah.
sound design stuff. But yeah, interesting that you can manipulate the system to do stuff like that as well.
Interesting. I mean,
It's really
at the end,
cool.
you can
Yeah.
just sell anything everywhere.
Yeah,
Basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Digital frontier, yeah.
So
Anything
how you
into
use it.
anything. Alchemy.
Ah,
Kid, tell us what else you've got coming up.
Yeah,
You
me.
got something on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday, and then
What else?
the quotas show not counted. Bangkok noise not counted.
Bangkok Noise.
Yeah, Bangkok Noise Festival at the Overstay
Overstay.
Sunday, and then here experimental edge with Stefan Banish and Sadra. Actually, most of the lineup will be from the Bangkok Noise Festival anyway. Including
When is that?
24th. Including Michael Oakley, aka Breath. And the next event, my next event will be the third installment of Primitive Synthesis with Shane Vodrick and Stumpf from Germany. With he'll be playing too.
When is that?
7th of January.
And where?
Here.
Here, or Jam.
Yeah.
Where are we? Where am I?
Yeah, mostly here, and I have a plan to put more, let's say more like V flaps next year.
Or what?
We've left like jamming.
Yeah, explain We've Lab. It's a really cool project you've been doing.
Yeah. Jamming stuff.
Explain to someone that doesn't know what it is.
Okay. We've left is a series of events that all musicians can jam with like improvising and do weird setups and so on. But let's
It's
say
like a live practice, though. It's experimenting.
Yeah.
It's like,
live practice and like connect musicians and artists together.
It's been like a free-form
Yeah,
jam
free-form.
session.
it's open. Yeah,
It's
with,
open.
like, very different sort of artists with very different backgrounds kind of coming together.
Yeah.
And is that include only the audio artist, or like other artists can
Other.
like
Yeah.
painters come and paint the music or
Yeah,
something?
yeah.
That's
because we have
Performance artists have come down last time as well.
Yeah.
Some of
That's
them
nice.
pretty weird and pretty good actually.
As long as you don't spill paint on my synthesizer.
Oh yeah.
It's cool.
Party foul.
To the case maybe, but yeah.
Then
Then they got to paint the whole synthesizer. Now they have to have an entire job to do.
No, please don't. Please don't.
do you guys know Bangkok Haps?
Yeah.
Haps. Bangkok Haps? I didn't know it.
Last week I think I saw one event at Speaker Box. I felt like it was like weird lab but not so experimental. So I'm thinking of returning with lab.
Cool.
Actually, I'm a bit sad because in Istanbul there's a great concert tonight.
In Istanbul.
Yeah,
Shit.
Oren Ambarchi is playing.
Oh
know.
shit!
With
I met him last year.
I cannot say his last name. Attila.
Attila,
The guy would play with Sun.
Attila, the Mayhem vocalist.
I don't know him.
Yeah. And in the Instagram I saw Stephen O'Malley is in town.
Huh?
Stephen O'Malley. So,
Oh,
yeah. So he's probably play as well.
Oh
Like,
shit!
yeah.
Steven.
Yeah. So
Oh shit!
yeah.
Get the overnight to Istanbul. Get the red eye.
yeah. I was
They're playing
thinking-
tonight. Okay. you might just
I mean,
touch down in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
if we went now, we still might miss
Taxi.
it. Yeah.
Actually,
Super
Mike,
movie
did you
this
see Death Heaven?
Death Heaven, yeah. It was really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Bad, I missed.
Who was that? Who was that? Kanye and they took their private jets and like met each other. They traded shoes and then they like left immediately.
Really?
Kanye and DJ Khaled.
Oh.
That was
They just traded shoes?
the
Shoes?
most.
Like the ones that they've worn already?
No, like they're private. No, because
I probably
they're
kinda gave
rich.
some
They've
use-
got
Yeah,
private
yeah.
jets. They've got like their own like
Yeah.
line of
They just
like
did that for
custom
the story.
shoes. Exactly. Like to do the most like luxurious and
Yeah.
wasteful thing that you could
Yeah.
possibly.
They're gonna use that in their next
You don't have
business meeting.
don't ship it overnight. Like I mean, shipping something overnight is already pretty
Well, no,
pretty
a lot of people do that.
stressful. But the fact that you're actually calling in the air traffic controller for your own
Yeah. I guess if you have your own airplane. A lot of people
To a
do that
private
though. Like
airfield.
they have a courier to like take important stuff for them. I have a friend that actually does that for a living. Like she's just a private courier and like she just gets called to fly like random places around the world carrying some important
But
package.
sometimes it's faster to package, like even the digital ones, because like Google, if Google wants to transfer something digitally, because the files can be so big, it's just easier to
Yeah.
take the server, put it on a plane,
I think it's
then
just-
ship it.
Yeah, but I think generally,
Yeah.
you're right. It could be faster in some circumstances. I think generally it's more like a business gesture,
Yeah, of
like.
course, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Sometimes just shipping something is much faster than digitally transferring. Though I don't know, upload speeds are getting pretty fast.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like terabytes and terabytes and
Yeah,
terabytes
yeah.
of
They work in like video production, so
Yeah.
understandable.
But like Apple just released 1.5 terabytes of RAM device, so
What was that?
That's the Mac? That's
Yeah,
the
Mac
cube
Pro,
box?
yeah.
They keep trying to sell them in cubes.
yeah.
Jobs is dead, but the legacy carries on. The
The
Ives
new
and Cook
one, like
design
the
doc.
new Mac Pro.
Yeah,
It comes the base like hard drive. Oh no, it's 1 terabyte. I heard somebody say it was like. Oh no, I think it's. I don't know if
it's
one of the
1.5 gigabytes, 1.5 terabytes of RAM.
RAM.
Not storage,
Oh, that's
RAM.
RAM.
That's
It was
maxed.
maxed out.
That's
Yeah,
maxed
yeah,
out.
maxed
It's
out.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's gonna
I
be
saw
tough to build on
somebody.
your
I saw
own.
somebody
yeah.
like max it out on the Apple Store
Yeah,
just to see how much it costs. Max out everything. It's like $50,000.
Yeah, 52.
$52,000.
I think it's cheap.
You think?
Yeah,
That's a good
think
deal
like that.
for 1.5
If you're buying
terabytes
that
of
kind
RAM.
of device, you're probably making like big studio films
thing
and
is, yeah, it's
like
not-
TV shows, so it will pay itself in a month or something.
It will pay
probably.
very. It'll pay.
Yeah,
if
you're
you're doing that kind of
compiling like an
device
entire
very
like
quickly.
Yeah.
animated movie with the soundtrack in it.
Yeah,
Like,
and if you can export in a 30 minutes or 10 minutes or something, it will just pay itself out.
No, if you work in high end production, like it's not cheap, but you're exactly correct. Like
Yeah.
that equipment will pay itself off so fast that like it's not really
Yeah.
a big problem,
Yeah.
and it's really.
And I mean, it's not for home use, of course. Yeah.
printer.
I gotta piss again. I've been drinking too much water.
Yeah, that's what you've been drinking. Sorry.
So, yeah, I was wondering because like the year is ending. Like, what was your like top 5 albums released this year?
Oh yeah, we could stand to do some lists. So
Yeah.
we were probably a couple weeks before, but yeah, I like the
Yeah.
new pornographers, like Falling
Ooh.
Down the Stairs of Your Love.
Oh.
Was that the single or the album? I'm pretty sure that was the album.
Yeah.
I don't buy that many. I'm gonna have to look at it. Oh, K-Slang Beers. Self-titled. So,
Yeah, we have another
hey!
guest.
Oh.
Special guest, what do you?
Oh, we have a special guest now.
K-Slang Beers. Oh, I liked, well, again, pretty poppy. Beck, I liked, was that Hyperspeed? Hypersonic?
He's just pushing me. Okay.
What? Oh, we
No,
don't
we're
need her
gonna
getting,
deal
we don't
with
need
him,
her
okay.
any coffee.
Yeah.
That'd be dangerous.
I was just afraid that he's going to drop the camera.
That'd be a great way to end it. Clunk. I guess we're done.
Does anyone else have
Oh, top
anything to
albums.
say?
Yeah.
before we- Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Top 5.
I don't
Yeah,
have,
down the
I have a
guest.
list yet. I've got 3. Albums. This year.
Top
Yeah,
5
or for
albums.
the decade. For the decade?
No,
Or for the year.
yeah.
For the year.
I
Oh,
will
that's
say
a different
for
list.
yeah,
That's a different list. That's
and
huge. Yeah.
I decided not to do it because it will consider like the same artist a lot.
Right.
Like I need to put all the Death Grips albums. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Or all the Swans albums. Or
Last-
but
Yeah,
I have
something I do.
album of the decade.
Just have the dogs in here next time.
I have one.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
No reason.
Kanye's My Beautiful Twisted Dark Fantasy. Yeah, this is my album of the decade for sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Album of the decade. What was
Yeah.
it?
Kanye's My Beautiful Twisted Dark Fantasy. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure about the
I'd say
decade.
like a Courtney Barnett thing would make the top 10 list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think album of the year for me was
Sometimes I
Apex
sit and think, and sometimes
Really?
I sit.
Apex Twin?
Aphex did a
Like
new
2
album
or 3.
Yeah. Wasn't it 2019 or was it last year, 2018?
I think last year.
Maybe you're thinking of an EP or something.
Yeah, maybe,
This year is an EP, I guess.
maybe it's last year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, for me, this is definitely Bandana by Freddie Gibbs and Madlib.
I haven't
Yeah.
heard it.
Bandana.
I didn't hear it.
Bandana.
Didn't hear it.
It's amazing.
Oh.
And Madlib produced
Madlib.
all his music on an iPad mini,
What?
Ooh!
which is
Shit.
insane.
Really?
Yeah. Not even an iPad Pro, iPad mini.
Oh Oh,
which
mini.
is
I wonder which app he used.
I heard it was GarageBand.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
really?
which is
Yeah.
more impressive than ever because there's lots of great apps.
Well, I mean, when they
Yeah,
even like first released GarageBand, that was the whole point of it. Like,
Yeah.
like this is
You can do it. But it's
The entire
really
studio
impressive, like just doing it on an iPad Mini.
Ooh.
Wow.
that's funny. Like remembering like when it was just a good.
He's
It
like-
was really neat just to have the songs in your pocket. Now you can make
Make
songs.
songs.
He probably did it all in bed too. It's
Yeah. Very
It's
interesting.
like his like golden silk pillow, just like chilling.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, Madlib is really good.
And for me, I have like few. I think 3, I guess. One is I can't stop listening to this. Devin Townsend's new album, Empath.
Impasse.
Empath.
Empath. EMPATH.
Yeah.
Empath. Devin Thompson.
The man is so like godlike genius with epic songs all the entire album.
Are they long?
There's one last song which is like 23 minutes long.
Oh wow.
That's it. The others were like 6 to 7 minutes in average. And one more, it's Jacob Collier.
Oh, I hate that guy.
Jacob.
He's the YouTuber guy, right?
Huh?
YouTuber guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hate that guy.
Jacob Collier just is just.
I don't know.
You don't have to.
You should take him. You should take him really. He just listen.
It's
Listen.
so
Listen.
Listen,
Last,
to have an opinion.
Where does he read?
Yeah.
recently, last night he just like did a breakdown of his cover version of Moon River, which is only like 100 layers of his own vocal parts. 100
Acapella.
100 layers on Logic. Oh, and yeah, he did, and he add. His music is like blending of like pop and jazz and yeah, microtonal stuffs out here and there.
I like microtonal.
Yeah, I like it.
Who doesn't?
I don't know.
And-
I'll
and-
give it a listen. I'll give it a listen for sure.
Yeah, and the
Sounds-
next one is,
sounds interesting.
and the last one is clipping.
I was going to say that clipping is amazing. It's my second
Yeah.
album of the year for sure.
Yeah,
Clipping is
yeah,
just
clipping.
fucking great. And if you haven't listened, check
I
it
have
out.
not,
I mean,
I have
it's really a masterpiece.
What's the style?
I like that.
Nice.
I like the single, the La Mala Ordina, which featured the Rita on the noise walls,
Yeah.
So it's noise.
Yeah.
hip hop, and then noise walls after
Yeah.
that.
Hip hop with
I mean,
noise
yeah.
walls.
Yeah, I mean,
Sounds
it
pretty good,
started as
yeah.
hip hop, but after like in the middle, that song that he was like, it's amazing. It just became like a noise wall.
I love noise walls.
I mean, so it's like a really impressive composition.
Yeah, and recently I've been releasing lots of harsh noise walls out there.
That's it's a good idea to blend that with another style. Because it's so I think with like noise and stuff.
Yeah, you know, I listen to it all the time.
So
like Scott Bradley.
easy for people to kind of like
pop covers and,
Yeah.
and
blank out on
old
it for them,
40s,
like maybe
50s
not
style
feel it.
jazz and
I forgot to mention one.
postmodern.
Vomier's new release.
What?
Vomier.
Vomian.
Vomier.
WOL?
VOMIR.
VO.
The French.
Vomier.
The French wall. The French noise. Harsh noise wall.
Does he play like
Harsh noise wall only.
but like mostly with synthesizers or with
Sometimes I get synths and pedals. Yeah. But his recent release, he just released with my friend If. I think you guys know. He has a label called Perpetual Objection, which is like release, which releases only like harsh noise walls. Only. with limited quantities of like physical copies, all handmade by him.
I wonder if he could like turn. I wonder if he could like make a noise wall into like a physical object, so it was like also a physical wall.
Yeah, it can be.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
I
possible.
have to do that.
Have it as a brick,
I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, that's what
a brick with like
vinyl
a
pressing is. Yeah.
USB thing embedded in it.
In the wall. Or you can just make like a sound system out of it, like sound system wall with like
Oh yeah.
like a speaker wall.
Stack of speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit of ASMR.
Well, what was the marble machine?
The vines. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty close. That's pretty close.
I heard
Yeah,
he
different
and
genre, but similar.
actually he's doing a version 2, which is amazing. And I heard like David Bruce and he's going to collab or something.
Who? Bruce?
David Bruce, composer
Mhm.
from UK. I think UK. I'm not sure.
Who?
David Bruce.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a really good YouTube channel that talks about composition. It's pretty good. I was going to say something. Oh yeah, and the new Swans album.
Swans.
Yeah, and the collaborations are just amazing. I mean, Ben Frost and it, like, also great artists.
Did Ben Frost release an album this year?
Huh?
Yeah,
Who?
I think so, right?
Ben Frost.
But I think Ben
Oh, Ben
Frost
Frost.
become like softcore through the years.
Yeah.
I
I
mean-
because I think maybe he's more focused on film.
Oh, he released
work.
a soundtrack, I think.
Yeah, but I think since then, like, I mean, I've seen it happen to other artists as well. Like once they move into like soundtrack, then they kind of become a bit more focused in that direction. Like
Yeah.
musically,
Yeah.
musically.
They
Even
become
when
more ambient and ambient.
Yeah, even when they released, I think actually Amon Tobin also
Yeah.
just released a new album.
Yeah, I
And
think so.
same thing, like I listened
yeah,
to it and I
it-
was like, oh, this is an OST album, but
Yeah.
it's not. It's his
It sounds like that,
but
basically.
it sounds like a
Oh.
soundtrack,
Yeah.
sure. And it also sounds. It's really. I think like there's elements in that in his new album that I'm like. I'm pretty sure I heard him play this before, like in another
Right.
album exactly.
I mean, it was really worthwhile for me. I just listened once.
Mm.
If I'm remembering correctly, because it just started to be confusing for me. I'm right now just mixing up the years, and I came to that kind of points.
For ambient, I think Tim Hacker's new release is nice.
Tim Hacker's always pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And also The Caretaker.
The Caretaker album is amazing.
The Caretaker.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my.
But I don't quite understand. Is the Caretaker producing his own stuff, or is he
Yeah.
just like sampling old records?
I think-
like
I
his
think-
old stuff was just
Yeah, I think it's
I mean, it's not
mostly
the same thing.
he's just recording. No, but it sounded like he just like recording and like looping, maybe adding like tape saturation and noise. But like his old stuff didn't sound. It's not like his music. He's just taking old records,
most-
like
Yeah,
solely,
it can be.
solely that.
let's say it's
Which is
mostly
nice.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
producer,
appreciate it because I
yeah.
really like enjoy it. But I'm just curious, like about his process.
I
Is
mean,
it-
I actually don't want to know.
Hmm.
Because I
Right.
think it's going to destroy my vision. I mean, after
Circling back
I
onto
saw
the magic of it.
I saw
Yeah.
William Basinski play live
Oh,
and see his
The man
process.
behind the curtain.
I mean, every time I'm listening to him, I'm
now you can
seeing
think about it. Yeah, you
him's
see it.
process,
Mm.
which is a bit killing the mood for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
But at the same time, I'm seeing the like tape loop is turning,
Mm.
which makes it also interesting as well.
Mm.
So there is a two-sided coin.
Mm. Yeah, fair enough.
But the thing is, I remember his like mirrory beret that he was wearing, which was disorienting. Don't get me wrong, I love his style.
Fashion police.
I love his style, but it was a bit disorienting. Yeah. He's a great guy.
And actually, I recently listened to the new release of Negative Land.
Negative Land.
Yeah. And retros. It's quite retrospective, I guess. But yeah.
Where do you listen to your music?
Huh?
Where do you listen to music?
Most-
Spotify.
Yeah, mostly Spotify and Bandcamp.
I used to buy vinyls as soon as they came out,
Oh.
but it's not monetary viable.
Yeah, that's a brave
Yeah.
move.
And I don't have a turntable here, so I left
Mm,
all my hardware back in Istanbul, which is upsetting.
it's a mistake. You have to go back and get it.
I mean, my hardware is like really big, so I mean, I cannot carry my Rhodes with me.
Say that to Tommy.
Yeah.
He went back in like multiple trips to get stuff.
I mean, that's the thing. I'm thinking like if I'm bringing it here, I need to take it back.
Yeah,
Which I don't
that's
want.
the thing,
I mean,
yeah.
I generally have hard cases for my devices, but I don't want to carry my MPC with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I just can go back and make some stuff and come back, and I just buy an iPad Pro and.
iPad Pro.
And also, after like those, my main instrument became this, basically,
Mm.
because like I used to own lots of Moog synthesizer and other synthesizers, but like the Moog apps are pretty close,
Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
mean-
they sound really good for
Yeah.
sure. Digital.
and you can
so-
just carry it. I mean, in one point I was playing with like 3 iPhones,
Oh, 3 iPhones.
solid,
Nice.
and the sound was pretty good. I mean, and you don't have to carry like 3 models
Way easier
Ds
to back.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
stage,
Yeah.
and it's certainly much cheaper.
Yeah.
Talking about modules, I'm just thinking about Matt right now.
About what?
Matt Kennedy.
Matt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt
Yeah.
what?
Yes. He is now having like big set
Yeah.
in Chiang Rai.
I mean,
Yeah.
I used to have Eurorax, like a lot of modules, but I sold it all
Mm.
because after a certain point, it becomes a limitation.
It
But
is-
it's
it is-
a bad limitation.
It
because-
is limiting it. I mean, it's interesting. It kind of
Sort of
like
the point of it, though.
it kind of dictates your.
But I'm not
Sound
talking
of
about
it
the
to an
like
extent.
good limitations.
Mm.
I'm talking about like because like almost everybody getting the same models because like some models are great, so they
Right.
become like the standard. So that kind of limitation makes it sound
Yeah.
non-original, even though you have that kind of freedom.
Yeah, I
at
think
the
I
end.
think modules like if you don't like having or like mix them enough or like use
Yeah.
them creatively, then the modules themselves start to dictate your sound, and then of course you don't want that because like it's not your sound; it's the sound of this module.
Of course. And that kind of limitations just start to make me off put.
Yeah,
But-
I use both like Euro Rack modular and Rack VCV.
I was going to say that iPad has an app for that.
When I use like
Same thing.
when I use VCV, like when I'm using it often,
Yeah.
I really don't feel the urge that I want to buy new
Yeah.
hardware. I'm like, oh, hardware is so limiting. Like
Yeah.
VCV is insane. Like it's
VCV
just,
is
like,
everything.
Download
And you
plug
have
in.
the iPad
I
app
guess we
of
should
that.
maybe explain a bit, but Rack VCV is like a virtual modular
Yeah,
software.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's the same as modular synthesis, but it's free and open source, and anybody can use it.
And there's like big brands on it.
Yeah,
like
there's some.
mid-world.
With, like,
Yeah,
official
it's-
versions of
Yeah,
it.
they've been ported to.
Yeah, Perfacto or something.
Yeah, MI, Mutable Instruments.
Yeah. It's called Audible Instruments there.
Befacco. There's a little bit of like 4MS stuff on there that is not official ports, but they've approved it. So 4MS has stuff on there.
Yeah, like 2HP kind of stuff, but it's not called 2HP.
Mhm.
And iPad has the Mirac. It's the same company, it's the same things, and you have the same models, but convenience of iPad. So you can just take you can connect it with your finger.
Ah,
And I always struggle with VCV because my computer is pretty strong, but still, it takes so much CPU.
yes.
But
Yeah.
iPad, it doesn't.
Mm.
You can just put like
But
hundreds
is it-
of models and it
is
won't.
VCV? Oh,
Same thing, but its name is Mirac.
Oh right, the one there was like a big there was like a big controversy over that because it's open source because it's open source software. One guy took the software and he ported it to iPad, and then he sold it for like not expensive.
It's
like
$350 because I bought it. I know.
Bought
Baht.
$350. So it's like $15 or like $12 basically. But and so there was like a lot of controversy. Like people were saying like, oh, you stole the code and now you're making money off of it even though it's open source. But like I was like, my standpoint is that actually for a long time people wanted Rack VCV on an iPad. Many people wanted it, and the head developer of Rack VCV, he said for a long time, like many times adamantly, that he's never going to work on an iPad port for the software. He's like, for him it's just like gonna take too much time.
It's a different
he just
language,
doesn't want to
so
work
it's gonna
on
be
it.
a
He
little
just doesn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said like, I'm not doing this. So from my point of view, like the person that did that, they just like they did some software developing that took their time. They decided he decided he wanted to charge for it, and that's fair. Like he provided like a kind of extension of ECV that people wanted, but the argument fell in the area of not quite the main app development, but other third-party developers that had developed modules for VCV and made them free because they wanted them to be free. Those technically now you are technically kind of like paying for those modules as well in a way. You know what I mean?
I mean, but not really. You just pay for the app.
Yeah, but
not the inside. And like,
but it is.
Let's take Mutable for example.
He did port like third party. He did port like third party plugins and stuff. It just depended on their the licensing that they chose, like the open source license.
Right.
But like
that
they
is
have
patented
mutable instruments inside of the VCV.
Yeah.
And the same thing, but also mutable instruments as the physical form is open source as well.
Yeah.
So you can just he just make the app, so it's like you pay for the app, but not the inside.
Yeah.
Free
I mean, in my point of view,
that's
it
my
was
point
all
of view.
fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of issues around it.
But the thing is, like lots of people making software for VCV, and some of them selling them. But you cannot put every single one of them inside the app, because Apple do not support like third-party open source kind of things. So he just choose the best ones and put
Right, because then that'd be operating their own marketplace.
I think he chose them also like based on the license.
Probably.
But yeah.
And he might just update and get new ones as well. Probably. I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's pretty amazing. In VCV, there's like, by now there's over 1,000 like free modules, and so like anybody that's interested in like modular synthesis or any kind of like sound synthesis, it's a really good tool to like dive in and.
Gateway drug, basically.
Yeah, it's gateway for sure. You can do anything inside there. You can just like, you can go crazy. Even you don't know what you're doing, you can just start stringing cables and see what sound comes out. Or you can go buy a book or go on YouTube and find some tutorials, and you can legitimately, like, I started learning sound synthesis by buying a analog synthesizer, and of course I just had to learn like, what does this synthesizer do? And it only had a few basic functions. That's how I started. But when I really like started learning like really fast exponentially was with Rack VCV. It's like started using that. I learned like so much about sound synthesis.
Yeah. And if you have the mentality, basically you can do anything.
Yeah.
It's all about the mentality.
And the CPU.
Oh, of course,
and the CPU.
Because
I found that
VCV
too, like,
use lots of CPU.
It's not very efficient. That's why like Super Collider is so amazing, because it's just code, but it's so efficient that you can run really complex sound processes and like hundreds of them. Or
Well, we did data sonifications, and it takes CPU.
it takes CPU. At some point, you hit a brick wall.
I mean, we were doing a piece called Dark Matter. Basically, it's we had the data from CERN, like the Large Hadron Collider.
Yeah.
We had the collision data, and we were like doing data sonification. Basically, you take the data and map it to the synthesizers. And while you're doing that, I mean, it can take CPU. Especially if you code something wrong, it will just crush it. Yeah. And if you're not just closing the synths after they play, it will just stack up. And, yeah, I know a couple of times that CPU just burning. I mean, if you push it, it can happen. But otherwise, you're completely right. I mean, if you're using this truly, you can just get low CPU usage, great sounds.
Yeah, processing was like that too. At the beginning, I thought like, oh, you can get so much out of it. But then I reached a point where I was like, oh no, actually, you have to start like cutting corners and making things really efficient in the code in order to get to like another level of processing.
Especially if you're using 3D data.
Yeah, especially 3D, especially if you're doing like something with Touch Designer or GLSL or something.
Yeah.
Coming up on
Should we wrap it
2
up?
hours. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Slowing by fast.
Yeah, thanks a lot for
Thanks
joining
for having
us,
us.
Kerem and Kit.
thanks.
Kerem, you don't have anything past the Wednesday at
The primitive synthesis thing with Kit and Jam Cafe. And
7th of January.
No, not yet. I mean, I'm right now focused on the work, but yeah. But I'm doing the new album, so I'm working on that.
Nice.
Cool. All right.
Cool. We've been Naked Mothership. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. And I will draw the logo for Naked Mothership soon.
Yeah. The logo needs some work.
We do actually need a logo.